Hey, what's on guys, Brad here. So today we're talking about Blair Flannigan coming to Duel Links. Now, this is not a leak video, this is my Duel Links What If series, which I've been doing. I did one for Atticus or Night Shroud. Today we're doing it for Blair Flannigan because I was going to do her anyway, but I found out in the game files that Hasselberry actually has tag duel lines referencing her and actually talking with her, so this could be a pretty big proof of her coming to Duel Links some point down the line. Again, we have seen lines for things like Duke Devlin, but he hasn't come, and that's been like a year since we found those lines out in the game files, so nothing is 100% confirmed, but Blair could be coming to Duel Links very, very soon. And let me know what character you want to see me do next, because I want to try and get out your guys' fan favourite characters, the ones that people want to see the most first, and hopefully there could be some cool, spicy characters in there that we think might just never come to Duel Links, but it could be kind of cool if they did come. So let me know what you think. Let's get on to Blair Flannigan and see what she's all about. So who is Blair? Well, Blair's character is actually really interesting because she originally came to Duel Academy as a Slifer Red transfer student because she had a major crush on Zane, and she disguised herself as a boy so she could sneak around into the Obelisk Blue boys dorm, so she was kind of a stalker. Then she got caught by Jaden, which obviously they played a card game, and then by the end of the episode, end of her debut episode, she'd managed to radically switch her crush from Zane to Jaden, and that's where her character kind of starts, and you think it's not really off to that good of a start. However, it turns out she was too young to even enter Duel Academy. She was like 8 years old or whatever in the dub, or like 11 in the sub, I think it was. So she leaves, and then she returns towards the end of Season 2, where she takes part in the end of the Gen X tournament, and has to face Chaz Princeton, who is like the winner of the tournament, and if she wins, she gets into Slifer Red. If she doesn't, then she doesn't, obviously. Now, Blair loses, but Chancellor Shepard still lets her join, the school in Slifer Red, and then from then on, from Season 3 onwards, she becomes a bit more prominent character because in a Dimension World arc, she's featured very heavily with Marcel Bonaparte, who we know gets influenced by Yubel, and there's a whole dynamic there between those two, and then of course in Season 4 as well, she then gets ranked up to like Obelisk Blue, I think it is, so she definitely has a good character progression arc in the show, and hopefully they do it justice when she does come to Duel Links. Now, I could see Blair being very similar to Bones when it comes to being a lockable character, like maybe through a Duelathon event, since she is a relatively lesser known character to the general audience. Like obviously, in terms of GX's plot, she's pretty up there, but general audience, doesn't really know who Blair is. Or because of the voice line thing, and obviously we talked about Hasselberry having a voice line for her in a tag duel event. This is a reference to Season 4 of GX, where there was a pretty prominent tag duel in the show. Perhaps she could be a character unlocked through a tag duel tournament or something, like once we've got the Loomis and Umbra brothers, once those two have been rotated out and into a gate unlock, then she can come via a tag duel tournament. Or, this is what I like to see personally, is that they actually go ahead and do the Gen X tournament in Duel Links. Now, we've seen that in the Duelist Chronicles GX event, but what if they made that into its own event, or reskinned the Esperoba Duel Carnival event to be a Gen X tournament style event and have Blair be a reward for completing that or something? Because I have been missing that event. I love that event. That was the one where you basically played PvP and you had two teams like Dragon, Spellcaster, Beast Warrior, that kind of thing, and you fought for them. You got treasure boxes. It was a pretty good event for getting reward cards and gems, so it'd be cool if that came out, and it would have some sort of canonical meaning to the GX anime, and it'd be a great way to reintroduce one of my favourite events without making it seem like DM pandering, which they can do sometimes. Now, one thing I'm kind of struggling on is the Ace monster, because all of hers are kind of weird. They're either really weak or they're anime exclusive, and none of these really stand out as being Ace monster worthy. Now, we do have in GX and Duel Monsters, I believe, one character that was like different from the norm, and that was Tristan. Tristan didn't give us a single new card with his unlock event, to my knowledge. I'm not even sure if Loomis and Umbra did, to be fair. They might have done, I can't remember, but Tristan did not have an Ace monster, so Blair could very easily be in the same situation. But if you know what monster, Blair should have as an Ace monster, feel free to let me know, because I'm all ears. So let's talk about her cards, because initially, like when I thought way back about Blair coming to Duel Links, like, a year and a half ago kind of thing, I would have thought they'd have been like, hey, let's give him a Adult Chase and let's call it a day. But we can't really do that now because we have the majority of the non-Xyz focused support in Duel Links. They can't really do that. That would have made her a really cool character and would have been, a really good one to level up as well. So we have to look to previous video games, to Legacy of the Duelist, Millennium Duels, those kind of things, to see what cards or what decks she used to use in those. So in Legacy of the Duelist, she used a generic fairy deck that works to increase your life points and then inflict burn damage every time your life increases with things like Fire Princess, which we have in Duel Links as a one-off card. I believe we got it in one of the first ever Duelist Challengers events. So that could be a thing, but I don't think Konami want to give us anything else that kind of helps a burn strategy go forward, so maybe they wouldn't want to do that. Then in Millennium Duels, she again used a fairy deck. It is very similar to Legacy Duelist 1, but this time it was more focused around Princess Pikaru, which could be a good starting point for some of the other rewards, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Of course, Pikaru you will know from Bastion was one of his favourite cards. This is the upgraded form of that. For Expert Mode, she used a Mystic Swordsman deck, which is most likely a reference to one of her anime decks, but that was completely different. I believe we have the Mystic Swordsman in Duel Links already, so we can't really go down that line either. Then the Tag Force games, the best of the bunch really, they focused on her Maiden in Love deck from the early seasons of GX, and that deck was combined with powerful fairy and warrior type monsters, so she had like DD Warrior Lady in that deck, which if Konami did that and were like, hey, you want DD Warrior Lady? Go level up Blair. That'd be really cool if they did that, but again, that's such an iconic and signature card that was really good back in the day, that I feel like they'll just want to make like an SR or a UR and make us pay for it, so I don't see Konami doing that whatsoever. So let's take a look at some of Blair's cards she could give us based on the previous video games, starting off with all of the Pikaru cards. So of course we do have things like White Magician Pikaru and Evil Magician Quran in the game already, but their upgraded forms are really interesting. So first up is Princess Pikaru at level 4, 2000 attack, 0 defense, but it's a really weird summon, so can't be normal summoner set, can't be special summoned except with the spell card Trial of Princesses, and during your standby phase, gain 800 life points for every monster you control, so potentially gaining 2400 life points per turn. That's ridiculous, probably some of the best life point gaining strategy we've had in Duel Links. You know, like Aromages can be pretty cool, but this is like on another level, again harder to summon, but still really cool. Then switching over to the dark side, we have Princess Quran, which again, same stat line, but during your standby phase, inflicts 600 damage to your opponent for every monster they control, so they could be taking 1800 points of damage every single turn, which to me, that's a big turn off. So Konami would be like, no, we're not doing this, because although she is a hard card to summon, that's still a lot of burn damage per turn potentially, and then depending on how many copies you have on the field, can be even more. So I really don't know if Konami would really want to do that with this character. So how do you summon these two? You use the equipped spell Trial of the Princesses. So this card you equip to a White Magician Pikaru or Evil Magician Quran, and they gain 800 attack points each, so they become 2000 attacks. So basically, they become the same stat line as their evolved forms. Now, during a turn that the monster destroyed a level 5 or higher by battle, you contribute it, equipped with this card, to summon either Pikaru or Quran from your hand or deck, depending on which one you tributed. So it's a it's a very old card, you know. It definitely screams old, like you know, 2006, based on the fact it is using a tribute card with an equip card to summon a card from the deck, and it's a very convoluted way of getting these guys out. And so maybe that is fair, maybe because they do have such a weird summoning restriction, and of course they do rely on you using these weaker monsters to go into first, maybe that does offset how good they can be with the burn damage and the life point gaining. Now again, one more Pikaru card remains that isn't in Duel Links yet. Pikaru's Second Sight's a trap card. Until your opponent's second end phase, your opponent shows you every card they draw before adding them to their hand. So it's like a mind scan, aroma strategy kind of thing for 2 turns for cards they draw. I don't think that's too bad, and the trap card is pretty slow obviously, but I don't think this is going to be like a ridiculously broken card at all or anything. You know, you gain a little bit of knowledge, you're using one card to do so, you're not using a skill, so you're losing card advantage to do that, but it's a cool little card, but something I don't think is going to make any real difference to the metagame at all, so go ahead, throw it in. So the next lot of cards are actually things she used in Millennium Duels. So we have Sambel the Summoner, a level 2 Spellcaster Wind. During your main phase, you can special summon one monster from your hand with the same level as this card. Its effect can be used once while it's face up on the field. This is pretty cool because immediately, that's a rank 2 Exceed summon, that's a level 4 Synchro if you use things like Knights and Sorcerer. You can special summon that, and then, you know, banish 2 from the graveyard, go into level 4 Synchro. Or you could do something like summon Hand Net Thieves, go into Sacred Fingers and Net Thieves. So there are some really cool combos you could do with this. I think, you know, Exceed summoning is going to be the way forward with this card. going for some cool rank 2s eventually down the line. That'd be a cool card to give us in Duel Links that I don't think would be too busted, so pretty cool. I do quite like Sandbell the Summoner. Then we have Luminize. It's a trap card. When the opponent's monster declares an attack, target the monster attacking, negate the attack, and then one face-up light monster you control gains attack equal to that target's attack until your next end phase. So that's really not too bad. So in your next turn, you have a big monster on field. That's really, really nice. And it also stops you from then taking more damage if your opponent's, say, attacking into that monster with a weaker monster, or the weaker of their own monsters, and they have more monsters on the field to attack with. It does kind of save you from taking more damage in that turn. So Luminize I think could come. I think Luminize is pretty cool. So I'd like to see that. Anything that negates attacks in Duel Links would be great, though we haven't got negate attack just yet, so it's a little bit weird we haven't got that just yet, so maybe Konami wouldn't want to do this. Next up is Hidden Armory, a spell card. I don't think Konami would give this one to us because this is a really good one for Geminis, for Noble Knights. Send the top kind of deck to the graveyard, then add one equipped spell from the deck or graveyard to your hand. You can't normal summon or set the turn you activate this card, so you can see why this is really good for Geminis, because you could have a monster on field already, use this to search out for a Supervise, and then you don't have to normal summon the Gemini because you just play the Supervise and it would get its Gemini effect. So you can see where this card would be good in that deck, and of course in Blair's deck it searches out for that Trial of the Princesses. So really, really cool card, and if Konami want to hard limit it to one, putting it with Blair's deck would be a good option. So that could be something they do. And finally we have a 5Ds era card, Pixie Ring. I don't think we'll get this. It's just one of those cards that Blair used in the game. While you control 2 or more attack by monsters face up, your opponent can't target your monster's lowest attack for an attack, so force them to attack into the highest ones. Then if you have 2 monsters on the field with the same attack points, they can't attack any of them, so it does create a lockdown mechanic, which Konami do want to try and avoid, I think, so maybe we won't get Pixie Ring. I don't really want Pixie Ring to come to Duel Links, but if it did, it might be okay, it might not be, I don't know, so let me know what you think. Now let's move on to her anime cards, because she has 2 real types that we're going to talk about, the Maiden in Love stuff and the Mystic stuff. Now I have kind of taken some cards out because I've relegated their effects to be skills because I think they fit a bit better. So first up we have Maiden in Love, a level 2, so this would work with Sandbell the Summoner. Can't be destroyed by battle while this card is in face-up attack position. It is basically a Cloudier monster, so I think it can come. And in the damage step, you place 1 Maiden counter on a monster that attacked this card. That's going to be really vital for the next card, which is Cupid Kiss. At the end of the damage step, if the equipped monster attacks a monster with a Maiden counter on it, and the equipped monster controller takes battle damage, you take control of the monster it battled. So it's basically a snatch steal when you attack into a monster that can't be destroyed. So you can attack into a really big monster, potentially have something like a is it Spirit Barrier, or the other one, the one that makes you take no damage from having attacks when a monster's on the field. That could be a pretty tilty combo to kind of go in with, and would be quite fun, I think. You just summon this really weak Maiden, and then you kind of go in and steal their monsters. Could be a fun tilting strategy to come to Duel Links. And then the last card for this archetype is Defense Maiden. It's a continuous trap card. When an opponent's monster targets a monster you control for an attack, except for Maiden in Love, target Maiden in Love you control, then change the attack target to it. So it is a bit like Pixie Ring. It's enforcing that lockdown loop. You're always making it so that your opponent attacks into your Maiden, it can't be destroyed. You have some cards to protect your life points. You have Cupid's Kiss on the field, so you're taking control of their monsters potentially. So it's a really fun little strategy that can be countered very easily. Of course, it's not like the lockdown is baked into Maiden. It's not like it's baked into her card. You have to use other cards to supplement it. You have to use Defense Maiden or things like Spirit Barrier, whatever it is. So I feel like in this instance it could probably come. It's a weird one because Konami have been very weird with adding in anime archetypes. There's been plenty of times they could have done that. They did it with Arcana Force, I think it is. They could have done it with the Paradox Brothers, but they didn't. Of course, we just got a new anime card this week via the Tour Guide Bingo mission, the trap card. I think it is Synchro Spirits. That's an anime only card, so they are adding more to the game, but they don't seem to be doing it in the way that we think they would. So again, it's really interesting. So we have one more set of anime cards to go through, and these are really interesting because this is the Mystic archetype, and this archetype is actually incomplete. We don't know what Mystic Baby Knight or Baby Magician or Mystic Knight and Magician are. So they could do something really cool here and, you know, add in new cards we never saw in the anime into Duel Links. You know, have exclusive for cards, like true exclusive cards in Duel Links that we've never seen before. So if they did this, that'd be really cool, but again, they probably won't, but still, it's something to think about that if Konami wants to go the extra mile with characters, they could invent cards for Duel Links, so that could be really cool. Let's take a look at the Mystic archetype, starting with Mystic Baby Dragon. So it's a level 4, 1200 attack, it can't be on summon a set, must be special summon with the effect of Mystic Egg, then if you tribute it for the effect of Mystic Revolution, you summon Mystic Dragon from your deck, so you know, that's the general gist of this archetype, it's just meh. So it is a very situational card, and Konami could very easily, you know, give these cards effects to bring them up to 2019 standards to make them a bit more playable. We've seen them edit effects with things like Emerald Tortoise, so why not just give new cards effects? That'd be pretty cool. Then we have Mystic Egg, a fairy level 1. During the end phase of a turn destroy a battle, you can randomly special summon one Baby Dragon, Baby Knight, or Baby Magician from your deck. So these are the Mystic ones. Obviously, in the card game, in the anime, the only one is Baby Dragon, so that's the only one you'll be getting out, but having it randomly be that is really weird and a really cool mechanic as well, because you don't know what you're going to be getting, and neither does your opponent, so it's always a gamble when you play this card. And again, during the end phase reminds me very much of things like Whitestone, so, you know, it's very similar to a card we have in Duel Links right now, so pretty cool. Then we have Mystic Dragon. It's pretty cool, he's pretty strong, 3600 attack, but it can only be special summon Mystic Revolution, so it's not very good in that sense. You know, it is a very hard card to get out, it's a very specific strategy you need to use to get this card out, so, you know, it won't see play. If it came to Duel Links, it's a vanilla, it won't see play really, so, whatever. Then we have the card that makes the deck work, Mystic Revolution. Tribute 1 face up Mystic Baby Dragon, Knight, or Magician you control, special summon from your hand, deck, or graveyard, one monster written in the card text of the selected card, ignoring the summoning conditions of course. That then gets you your Mystic Dragon from your deck, so really cool, you know? Being able to get out a very powerful monster very easily, very quickly is really cool, and we could, you know, have some fun with some of the skills to make it so that it's actually searchable through the deck, or, you know, you draw into one very quickly, so that could be kind of cool. But again, let me know what you think of the Mystic deck. It's pretty terrible, I know. Blair's decks are pretty terrible in general, but I still think she should come to Duel Links, and she's a pretty cool character, so let's take a look at what I kind of thought for some skills, but again, let me know what you think as well. So for skills, I thought, you know, for very generic ones, Balance, Draw Sense Light and Dark for the Kurans, and then Draw Sense Fire because of Fire Princess. Those are pretty standard, I think those can come. Maybe something like Ties That Binds to actually give her Kuran monsters a bit more attack points, make them just a little bit stronger without having Trials of the Princess. That could be kind of cool, but these are the unique skills I thought up for Blair, so let me know what you think. So the first one is Mystic Rematerialization, can only be activated after 1800 points of damage have been dealt. Instead of doing a normal draw, you add one Mystic Rejuvenation or Mystic Egg from your deck or graveyard to your hand, so it makes searching out for the cards you need for the archetype just a little bit easier, you know, like there's no real search cards for the deck, so this skill will give you some form of that, which it's pretty common for Konami to add in a skill that searches out for a specific card or a archetype of cards you really want, so could be pretty cool. Then we have a Maiden in Love, so I'm basically going to steal the anime card Happy Marriage, which basically reads, while there's a Maiden in Love on your side of the field, once per duel you can have the card gain attack equal to one of your opponent's monster's attack points. So this is very similar to the trap card Luminize I talked about earlier, which is the one that gated the attack and then basically let you gain attack points equal to that monster's attack. So this would be a permanent attack point boost, which depending on the deck you're going against could mean that, you know, you're going against Blue Eyes, Maiden then becomes like 3,400, so she becomes pretty big for free basically. So maybe there's like a trade-off there. Maybe you could add in, say, an effect that makes it so they don't take any battle damage from battles involved in this card. That could be a thing to do to kind of balance out the skill, which would be kind of nice, but again, it does require you to have a very specific card in the field, so maybe that's fair enough in of itself. And finally we have Partner Change. Now this is a reference to a card used in the GX anime, in that tag that I talked about, which was Blair and Hasselberry versus Jade and Alexis. So the card in the anime reads, if your opponent's partner agrees, you and your opponent switch partners. When this card is destroyed, both partners return to normal. So this would be pretty difficult to code in Duel Links, you know, just basically having, you know, a whole AI person, or it could be used in AI duels. In AI duels I think would be a bit easier, you know, you just switch decks and switch the character thing round, but maybe in PvP for Duel Links, if we ever got ranked PvP duels with tag duels, that could be pretty difficult to kind of code in and get working, you know, real nicely. So maybe you have something like it swaps all cards you currently control between the players, so you know, you gain everything on your opponent's field, they gain everything on your field, so you have to time it very nicely. There could be a bigger life point deficit for this. It could be like a when half your life points are gone, or when 3,000 life points are gone. You know, it could be a very unique skill that could be used in tag dueling, which Konami are giving us tag duel skills in characters, you know, tag duel exclusive skills. So either tag duel tournament is going to be coming back forever and ever and ever, or they are doing something with PvP and making a permanent addition to the game. So hopefully we'll see something about that very soon. But again, that's kind of what I thought for skills. You know, skills are very hard to think up because it's weird to kind of consider, like, you know, balancing of all the cards in the game and then, you know, taking the unique anime aspects of the character into account. So let me know what you think skills could be for Duel Links for Blair, and that's pretty much it. You know, a bit of a rambly one. I know it's a very long video. Like, I think there's about 22 minutes of footage of this so far, so hopefully we can cut down a bit and make it just a little bit shorter. But overall, I think a bit like how Mokuba was just another character to throw dragon support down our throats in DM, and Tristan was warrior based, I could very easily see Blair being the same for spellcasters or generic fairy support. So she could just be that. In the end of the day, she could just be that. There could be no anime exclusive cards, none of these cool skills, you know. She could just be a generic filler character for throwing us some support that we didn't really want. So let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. See you then.